guys, Erin Wester here, the Fit Spiritual Mom. So I wanted to try something new. I usually do a live Facebook event about every other week or so on Facebook, talking about coaching, my journey as a coach, more about my story, not only so people can learn about the coaching opportunity, but so they can get to know me better and determine if it would be a good fit for them to join my team, either as a challenger in one of my accountability support groups or as a coach on my team as a business builder. So I'm going to do a brief introduction about me and tell a little bit about my story. I do have 32% battery on my iPad, so we're going to see how we do here. So for those of you that are new followers to me, you just happen to be catching me on live on my stories. My name is Erin Wester. I am a 38-year-old mother of 3. I have an 11-year-old son who is a type 1 diabetic. And then I have twin girls. Alexandra is 2, and her sister Victoria actually passed away when she was 12 days old. When the twins were 5 days old, she had a cardiac arrest and her brainstem died and she passed away. There was no brain activity. The brainstem was dead. So instead of being connected to a machine for the rest of her life, only a few years, we decided to send her up to heaven. So I am a mother of 3, one on heaven, 2 on earth. Alexandra is doing fantastic. She does not have the same heart condition her sister had. For a little while, we went to Children's so she could see that she had a long QT. It's hard to talk. She had a long QT, which means her heartbeat was just a little off. So obviously they monitored that for about a year. Thanks for the hearts, guys. She monitored that for about a year, but then after a year of clear EKGs, they decided that she didn't need the cardiology anymore, which is great news. It's not anything genetic. We were going to all be tested, but it is very, very rare. Cardiac ganglionitis is what it is called. It is very, very rare. You Google it, you don't find a whole lot of information. So it took them a year after the autopsy to actually find it, which is kind of crazy. So I have been on a health and fitness journey for most of my life. I was an emotional eater as a teenager. I was definitely a binger. No purging or anything of that nature, but I was definitely a binger. I definitely ate my feelings, still sometimes eat my feelings. So it's an everyday struggle. So those that suffer from emotional eating, you understand that it is an everyday struggle to deal with emotional eating. As a teenager, I competed at the national level with Arabian horses. We also bred Arabians. So we had foals at our house, our home farm all the time. It was a fantastic childhood, but there was still pressure, there was still stress, there was still anxiety from the competition itself. So I think that is where a lot of my issues with anxiety, depression, panic attacks, things of those nature came from. Hey girl. So, that was kind of my teenage years. And, I went to college. I wanted to be a horse trainer. I was extremely, extremely, extremely shy. You wouldn't know that I'm extremely shy because I love to do live videos. I love to talk to you guys. I love being on my Instagram stories, Facebook lives. I love it. I love talking to people. I love sharing my story this way. And I just know that it inspires and motivates other people who have been where I've been. So I went to college far away, was going to be a completely different person, and use alcohol to become that completely different person because I am extremely introverted. It's very, very hard for me to be outgoing and be in the action, and that's just me. So I use alcohol to make things easier for me, which obviously turned into me being an alcoholic, experimenting with some drugs. So my college years were not that great. I actually got kicked out of college in my super senior year. I wasn't even close to a degree. I switched my major 3 times. I had no clue what I wanted to do. I had no direction. I had no vision. I just really took life for granted. And at 23, I had to move to Minneapolis. I didn't have a college degree. I didn't have a job. I didn't have money. but I was going to make it work. I worked odd jobs, part-time jobs, but I just was not satisfied. So I met my oldest child's father while I was in my 20s in Minneapolis, and things were good for a while, but then he started to get a little controlling, and I just didn't like how that felt. So I actually moved to Arizona and decided to train horses in Tucson, Arizona. That lasted about a year. I absolutely hated it. I realized that if I wanted to do anything with horses, that I would have to be my own boss. I couldn't work for somebody else. It was just super stressful, and I just couldn't handle it. So I ended up moving back to Minneapolis, moving back in with a good-for-nothing boyfriend, and things progressed from bad to worse. That's when I experienced what it was like to be in a domestic violence relationship. So it wasn't just physical. It was obviously emotional. That's where a lot of it comes from. He did hit me. I mean, that's reality. He destroyed property. He broke my keyboard. He broke my glasses. He punched holes in the walls. But it was a lot more than that. It was the emotional control, cutting you off from your friends and family, cutting you off from basically everything. All I would do was work and come home, work and come home. And I worked 2 jobs so we could pay the bills. Him and our roommates used their money to buy drugs, and I was paying all the bills basically. So definitely control, telling me that I was worthless, that nobody else wanted me, that my family didn't care about me, my friends didn't care about me, nobody cared. But I stayed because of how they make you feel. They make you feel non-worthy. They make you feel like you can't get somebody else. They make you feel like if you leave, you'll be alone. You'll be homeless. You have no one. That's how they make you feel. Those of you that have survived domestic violence, you know what I'm talking about. They just make you totally dependent on them. Even though I was paying the bills, like, he controlled my money. Like, I would make my money and I would give it to him. That was just how it was. We had stopped being intimate. I just stayed because I didn't know anything. I didn't know better. I didn't know where to go. I had nowhere else to go. I couldn't be honest with my parents. They were 6 hours away. I couldn't handle it. And then I ended up getting pregnant after one drunken night of the hanky-panky. Ended up getting pregnant, and that's when they swear they're going to change. Things are going to be better, so I stayed. And for a little while, they were better. For a few months, they were good, but I didn't have health insurance. I was working 2 jobs. I was on my feet all the time. I was able to quit the drinking and the drugs cold turkey just because I knew I had a child inside me, and that moment was when it made me kind of realize what I really cared about, and that was this child that was inside of me. So things were good for a while, and then he would still be angry. He would break stuff. He didn't touch me. He didn't hurt me, because I said the first time that was going to happen, I was going to leave. And it happened, and I said, I'm pregnant. You just did that, and I'm going to leave. That's what I said. And he begged and he pleaded and he said, sign me up for anger management. I'll go to anger management. You just need to find me an anger management class. And when I heard that, I was done. I was 100% done. I said, no way. I packed all my stuff, put everything I could fit in my car, and I left. And I drove home to Lake Geneva. And that is when my whole life changed. My parents said that I couldn't come home unless I promised to never go back. I unfortunately had to continue to have a relationship with him until my son was about 4. But it was a horrible relationship. I had panic attacks. I had anxiety. Life was just horrible. And I decided I was going to go back to school because I had to do something. I had to do something for me and my son. So that is what I did. I went back to school. I had to work my butt off to get into UW-Whitewater, into their social work program. I had a 1.75 GPA. So they weren't taking that. So I had to prove myself. So I took 2 classes, got straight A's, and they let me back in. I paid for college myself this time around. I wasn't screwing around. I got A's. I went and got my master's at a private college. I got A's. It just shows you what happens when you really want something. I had just realized what I really needed out of life, and I needed to be a social worker. I needed to help people, and that is what I wanted to do. Initially, I wanted to work in child protection. That's what I wanted to do. That's where I interned for my undergrad. But then when I decided I was going to go to grad school, I decided I wanted to be a school social worker. I wanted to work in the schools. I wanted to have summers off. That's just what I wanted to do. But, life doesn't always work out how it's supposed to. And it was impossible to find a job in school social work. My 1 year of unpaid experience didn't really count against the other hundreds of applications they got of people with years and years of experience. So I never did get a job as a school social worker, but I have worked in child protection. I have worked with veterans. I have worked a homeless shelter and currently work with incompetent adults at a corporate guardianship agency, a nonprofit. That is what I currently do. I'm actually a supervisor, so I've moved up the ladder in that. So that is what I do for my day job. In my side hustle, I have been a health fitness coach for 7.5 years. Since June of 2010. That was right when I was about ready to graduate with my master's. Again, I was super, super stressed out, worried about finding a job. So I started coaching. I also became a coach so I could be on my own health and fitness journey because I had 75 pounds to lose after my first pregnancy with my son. I was a single parent in college, working. I didn't really have much of life. Internships, volunteering. I basically did nothing but work and go to school and go home. That's really what I did. And it showed. I had gained 75 pounds with my pregnancy, and it's weight I never lost. So I originally started my journey with Weight Watchers and Zumba. That's originally how I started my journey. And then I was introduced to P90X, Shakeology, TurboFire. And that is when I decided to become a health and fitness coach. So my journey as a health and fitness coach is a million times different than any other person's journey. I've been through so many changes in my life since becoming a coach. I met my husband when I was a coach. I met my husband when I was actually in the best shape of my life, when I had reached my goal weight in 2011. We've gone to 4 coach summits together, 2 in Vegas and 2 in Nashville. So we've done that together. We've gone on 2 free cruises together through my business. One of them being our honeymoon. So our honeymoon was free except for the airfare and obviously the extra things that you buy. And being a coach has just changed my life in so many ways. It's just really hard. I keep getting reminders on there. It's just really hard to put into words how coaching has changed my life. Coaching made it so I didn't have to majorly stress out about finding a job. I mean, obviously I found a job. I've been employed since graduating in 2010. But things don't go as planned. When we were on our honeymoon, it's when I actually decided to go all in again. So I had really, really worked my business really hard for about 1.5 years. And then, I just kind of let things get in the way. I stopped my fitness journey. I stopped coaching. I gained some weight. Because being a child protection social worker investigator is stressful. It was a very stressful part of my life. It's my employment history is being an investigative social worker in child protection. Very stressful. So I let the stress take over me and I just stopped taking care of myself. That's just the gist of what happened. Luckily, my boyfriend at the time stayed with me because I'm an awesome person with a fantastic, vibrant personality. But he could have left, obviously, because I was letting depression sneak in. I was just letting my work affect me too much. I ended up with a back injury that wasn't healing because of the stress of my job, and I actually had to leave that job and go work in a different area of social work. And through all that, obviously, back injury, I wasn't working out. I was gaining weight. That's just kind of what happened. So when me and my husband got engaged, we decided I was going to work hard and lose this weight. I wanted to lose 25 pounds. I only lost 10 of those pounds before my wedding. Obviously, fantastic wedding. I married my best friend. He's amazing. We've been together 7 years. Tomorrow is actually our 4-year wedding anniversary. Super exciting. But lots of things have happened in our life that is stressful. and coaching has made that more bearable. So about a month before we were supposed to get married, our nephew was actually diagnosed with cancer. Both of his parents were going to be in our wedding. He was diagnosed on his first birthday. I think it was actually like a month and a half before our wedding. He was diagnosed with cancer. So, that makes a happy time not so happy. It took us over about a year to conceive, to get pregnant. Found out we were having twins, and then, everything goes smoothly. At my job, which I loved, I found out that I was going to need an extended maternity leave. So basically, I hadn't been there a year yet, didn't qualify for family medical leave, so they let me go. So again, something else that could have been stressful, but I was planning on not going back to that job anyway, to be honest, because I had built my business up at that point to a point where I was making double my social work salary as a health and fitness coach at that time in 2015. Disclaimer, Beachbody does not guarantee any level of success in income. Every coach's success comes from their own skill. So I have to give the disclaimer, but I was making double what I was making as a social worker, and I was potentially not going to return after maternity leave. That was just what was going to happen. So the company just kind of did the work for me by letting me go. And, we were all set for me to be a stay-at-home mom, to stay home with our son and the twins. And then, 5 days old, cardiac arrest. And that's when your whole world just comes tumbling down, because you never imagine that your child is going to have a heart attack when they're not even a week old yet. You don't imagine that you're going to be calling 911 trying to revive your child. You don't imagine that you're going to be investigated for your child's death. You don't imagine that you're going to have to make a decision for your child to live or die. We made that decision to turn the machines off because the brainstem was dead. She was never going to wake up. She wasn't even really there anymore. It wasn't even her. She was just a shell of what she was for the first 5 days of her life. And it just wasn't fair. Our house would have been a depressing place, a horrible place. It would not be happy and joyful and wonderful as it is now, because it is. Her memory is obviously still alive in our house. We remember her every day, but we know we are blessed for what we do have, because we do have a nice house that we can afford. We do have 2 kids that are fairly healthy. I mean, daughter just had tubes in her ears last week, and my son's diabetic, but overall we're doing well health-wise. We have family and friends. We have good careers, good jobs, good side hustles that we love, that bring us passion and joy. We get to go on vacations. We've been able to do renovations in our house. We don't have to worry about keeping the lights on or how we're going to put gas in the car. Those are all things that being a coach has brought to this family, because being a coach made it so after losing our daughter, I was able to stay home with Alexandra for the first 18 months of her life, and that's huge. I wish it would have been longer than 18 months, but that private college is very, very expensive, and I have $100,000 in student loans. So coaching is going to help pay off that student loan so I can come home for good. That is the goal. But, I absolutely love my job, so it has nothing to do with wanting to quit my job and stay home because I hate my job and I can't find anything I love, because I love my job. I really do. But I love being 100% present with my kids more. I mean, some parents don't want to be home full time with their kids. I do. Obviously, I would still coach and do that as my main hustle, but being home with my kids would just be great. Not having to worry about having enough time for the surgeries and the things that we want to do. So that is one thing. But the thing about coaching is that it was there for us when we were going through our hardest times. If it wasn't for coaching, we would be $1,000 in debt from medical bills. If it wasn't for coaching, I wouldn't have had a community of people behind me to support me and love me and give me love every single day as I share my story, because sharing people's story is hard. So a lot of the things I share could be considered embarrassing, could be things that other people would hide, put under the mat and just not share. But for me, I share because every day I want to inspire one person. That is all I want to do every day. I want to change the life of one person. I want to share my story to the girl I used to be, to that teenager that emotionally eats, to that single mom that doesn't know what to do, that doesn't think that they can have it better, that doesn't think they can go back to college and get what they really want. That woman that is still in that DV relationship because they just can't step away. The person that's lost a child, lost a sibling, lost somebody that was so important to them that they don't think that they could ever pull out and ever live a normal life again. That is the person that I talk to. That is who I'm talking to right now. The old Erin, the addict, the emotional eater, the person that thinks there's nothing out there for them, that they're always gonna be 100 pounds overweight, that they're gonna lose the weight but it's gonna come back and they're never gonna be able to lose it for good. A person that sabotages their own weight loss journey because they can't deal with themselves, the thoughts in their head. Helping people who don't know what to do to finally lose the weight, don't know how you can put yourself first and not feel guilty. The mom guilt is real, but you have to put yourself first too, because if you're not taking care of you, how are you going to take care of anybody else? If you're not taking care of you, how are you going to take care of your kids? How are you going to go to work? How are you going to do the things that you need to do to provide? That is the person that I talk to, and coaching did that for me. Yes, there is a financial aspect of it. Yes, I do make money from my team and from starting people on their journey. Yes, but I also do help a lot of people for free. Just sharing where you've been, where you're going, where you want to be is going to inspire somebody today. So, if you've been thinking about trying a side hustle, even trying it to give yourself accountability to be on your own journey, that's why I started, was to give myself accountability and success on my journey. That is why I initially started coaching. Also because I was scared shitless because I was graduating college. I had no clue what I was going to do. But Beachbody has just made it so we have so much less worries. We are a healthier family. We do not have a whole bunch of health issues. Life would be a whole lot worse for us if it wasn't for Beachbody. I never would have had time with my daughter. We wouldn't have saved 18 months worth of daycare. So, that right there. But when I was grieving the most and I was in the darkest place, I had coaching. Sure, those 18 months should have been time when I busted my butt and worked my business and built it and built it and built it. But I didn't, because this is not the most important thing in my life. My family is my number one priority. So giving my daughter memories of time with me is more important. So yes, sometimes I don't put the hours in on the weekend that I should be. I'm not working on the weekends. I should be putting the time in my business. But sometimes I'm not putting as many hours as I should because my family is my priority. I do all this for my family. So if I'm neglecting my family, why am I even doing this? So if you think that you have to give up everything you love, that you have to take all these hours away from your family, you're not looking at the right business, because this is about you and making your own time, making your own schedule, and running with this business at the pace that you want. Walking even, but just building, because if you could build something in 5 to 10 years that would either supplement your income or help you to stay home with your family, why wouldn't you do it? So just food for thought. If you want to talk to me about the coaching opportunity, if you want to talk to me about one of my fitness challenges or my support group, reach out to me. Budget is open and it ranges. I help people for free. Trust me. So I hope everybody has a fantastic Tuesday night, and I'll talk to everybody soon. Bye.